Danielle. My name is Lieutenant Stewart with Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office, Internal Affairs. If you could give me a call back on at 720-874-4112. Thank you.
Sorry.
Lieutenant Travis Stewart.
Is not available. Record your message tone. When you are finished, hang up or hold for more options.
Hello, Lieutenant Stewart. This is Danielle Keikoa. I just received your phone call, and I am just returning your call. I'm happy to help any way I can. You can reach me back at 720-443-3264. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Lieutenant Travis.
Hello, this is Danielle.
Hi, Danielle. Lieutenant Stewart with the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. Do you have a couple of minutes?
I sure do. How can I help you?
Well, I came across some information, Danielle, about your website.
Okay.
A couple of them, actually.
Good.
And I saw in there that it said some information about one of our K-9 deputies, Gordon Carroll.
Right. Mm-hmm.
My question is to you, what information do you have specifically on there? Because I know one of them said, and I quote, I think the first one was Dirty Arapahoe County Sheriff's Deputy Gordon Carroll.
Yes, correct.
So I just wanted to know what information you had, specifically why you would classify him as
dirty. Oh, well, good. Well, thank you, first of all, for calling. We've been reaching out to law enforcement for going on 2 years now, trying to get some help with these individuals. And I can give you several pieces of information about Gordon Carroll, one of which he is an elder of Denver Bible Church, and the pastor of that church is a convicted child abuser who is wanted for the murder of JonBenet Ramsey in 1996. And
wanted? Hold on. He's wanted for the murder of JonBenet Ramsey?
Well, we have, my husband and I were under attack by Denver Bible Church 2 years ago, and Gordon Carroll is part of that group that attacked us. And what I mean by attacked is we attended his church for a better part, approximately about a decade. We were followers of Bob Enyart, the convicted child abuser. And when we caught Bob Enyart in an inappropriate relationship with one of the elders' wives, Gordon Carroll was a witness to this. They began an attack on our family to take our children away from us and frame us for multiple crimes. And after we found out about this, and we knew it was them, they did this all anonymously, we began purchasing the court documents of Bob Enyart, who's a very close associate of Gordon Carroll. They've been together doing dirty work for at least 20 years, and this goes back...
What do you mean by dirty work?
Well, okay. We have discovered that Bob Enyart is a serial killer. And what he did when we found out that he murdered JonBenet Ramsey in 1996, Gordon Carroll was associated with Bob back then. And we have a large amount of circumstantial evidence that places Enyart and a couple of his co-conspirators at the scene of the crime in 1996. And
stop right there, hold on. But do you have anything specific with regards to Gordon Carroll being at the scene of a crime?
Well, there was a stun gun used on JonBenet, and there were high-tech boots that were left a footprint there, and Gordon Carroll, being a K-9 officer, would have access to a stun gun. We don't have, we have not seen him there. Okay.
Hold on. Okay, but we didn't even issue, to my knowledge, stun guns in 1996. We, as an agency, didn't have, they're called EMDs, but those weren't even issued to employees here in 1996.
Okay, and that's great to know. The thing about it is we haven't been able to have anybody follow up on any of our tips to even confirm or deny that any of this is true. And Bob Enyart has been ignoring the fact that we've been calling him a murderer for a better part of a year now. And the reason why this is important is because Gordon Carroll is representing himself as a pro-life Christian, and in his free time, he writes snuff write novels. He writes graphic horror novels about, and that's fine, free speech and everything, but if you're representing yourself as a pro-life Christian that cares about innocent life, it's quite disturbing that he would keep this secret from everybody, in addition to associating with a convicted child abuser who was convicted of beating a cop's son in the 90s, and then later.
Well, and I think, just to back up a little bit, I don't know that he's hiding it from you. I think he has a website about his novels and stuff. Am I right?
Yes, he does have you have to pay to get access to actually read them. It's quite secretive. And what they do, they operate many web forums online to where they can spy on people and track people with their IP addresses, because what we believe has happened here is they organize crimes. They use their pro-life status, they use their police status, and they use their pastor status as a cover to remain above suspicion. Now, he's a K-9 officer, so there's, drugs that could be involved, and you are who you hang out with. And when you hang out with a convicted child abuser, that says a lot about somebody's character. And when Gordon Carroll took part in attacking my family, that also says something. And
okay, and again, like you said, you maybe haven't had communications with any, law enforcement agencies to either confirm or deny some of the information that you have. So, as an agency, we are concerned, obviously, with some of the statements you made saying that, Gordon Carroll is a dirty Arapahoe County Sheriff's deputy. Now, clearly, you have issues with, what he and Bob has transpired between you and your husband and with that church, and that's between you guys. But from a professional standpoint and from our agency standpoint, what I'm trying to do is help you and clarify some of those things, maybe with regards to the stun gun and as far as the high-tech boots, at the scene of a crime go, we don't know, what type of boots he had at the time. I mean, obviously, a high-tech boot is available to anyone in the public at all. Those aren't just specific to law enforcement, and we don't even know what he was wearing. So to say that because there was a high-tech boot print found at the scene and to make the connection that possibly could have been Gordon Carroll at the scene of a homicide, I mean, in my opinion, that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah, yes, it is. Well, let me step in real quick. If I were wrong, here's the thing that's the problem is Gordon Carroll to this day has not come clean, has not even so much as asked us to stop. And now what I would like for the internal investigations group to do is look at it and look at the evidence, because Gordon Carroll also, like I said, they have multiple fake identities online, multiple web forums that they run. And one of his identities is called Cal 524. And Cal 524 was a Korean airliner that crashed, some years ago. And the reason why that's a little bit important is because the garrote that JonBenet was strangled with, on that paintbrush handle, it had the engraving of Korea on it. And now, again, this is all circumstantial, but when we are calling him, when we are accusing him of being part of a conspiracy to murder children, and he doesn't come forward and clear his name, I believe that's a problem, and you should probably go talk to him about that.
Well, and I think another possible angle on it is it seems so circumstantial that he may not even, want to pursue it. But the other thing to think about too, Danielle, is that by doing that and by accusing somebody of being involved in a homicide, I mean, you may open yourself up to some civil action and possibly some litigation involved, with regards to whether it be defamation of character or libel or something, I don't know, but you may possibly be opening yourself up to that from a personal standpoint on any of these people's behalf.
Right, and you know what? We invite that. In fact, we've been calling them out into a confrontation for over 2 years now, and we would love to be sued by them. You know why they're not going to sue us? You know why they're not going to sue us? Because they're guilty. And you know what? When Bob Enyart found out that we knew he murdered JonBenet Ramsey, he organized Jessica Ridgway's abduction. Okay, and then when he got Austin Reig-Sig to confess and to plead guilty to Jessica Ridgway, then he organized Dylan Redwine's abduction. Okay, now this is a man that Gordon Carroll is closely associated with for over 20 years, and this man is a serial killer. He's a serial killer. And now why Bob Enyart? I made a website about him, BobEnyartMurderJohnBennyRamsey.com, and he won't.
Right now, I know. I
okay. So do you find that odd that these people won't tell us to stop? Now, we have hundreds of troll identities, fake identities that come and communicate with us almost on a daily basis, and they don't deny it. They threaten to kill us. We've been receiving death threats for over 2 years by these group of individuals. Gordon Carroll couldn't care less. Gordon Carroll has been confronted multiple times about these allegations, and they just want to wait for the smoke to clear, according to his wife, and they don't want anything to do with it. Now, if somebody's calling you a murderer,
again, is maybe remaining, professional and is not engaging in this because he clearly sees this as unsubstantiated.
Well, that might be the case, but if somebody were calling you a murderer, would you just ignore it?
Well, if I knew clearly that I wasn't one, I wouldn't be that worried about it.
Well, let me tell you a story that we were accused of murder. We were accused of being child abusers. We were accused of vandalism, and we were accused of murdering Jessica Ridgway, and Westminster police came and took our DNA to clear us. Yet they won't. Yet they won't go follow up on our tips about the convicted child abuse. So we know what it's like to be accused of murder, and we say, no, we didn't do it. That's not true. And we go clear our name. Now... Well, I could, here's the thing. I could be wrong, but until Gordon Carroll comes clean and clears the air, I'm not taking anything down until he is fully investigated about his associations with Bob Enyart, the serial killer.
Well, and I'm not saying or that you have to take it down. I'm just, as the representative of the agency, I just wanted to open some lines of communication with you to see what specifically, you were talking about there with regards to, dirty, quote unquote, Arapahoe County Sheriff's Deputy. So, like I said, and like you said, you haven't had any dialogue with an agency to try and confirm or deny some of these. So, I'm certainly here to help do that. That he did not have, access to a stun gun from an agency-issued stun gun at that point. And again, the high-tech boots, that certainly would not be specific to our agency or anybody in particular. And of course, there would be sizes and brands and makes and models and that kind of thing. And furthermore, I mean, we can find out, very, very easily where he was, and according to, Boulder or anybody else, he was not listed as a suspect in any of this either. So,
yes.
I guess just as an agency, I would say, short of anything specific, Danielle, obviously we would like you to take the association with Arapahoe County, off of that, because we don't have anything that would substantiate that, and it doesn't sound like, other than, as you even said, very circumstantial stuff, that there's nothing specific to tie him to that, you know what I mean? So it's a request, I guess. I'm certainly not saying that you have to, but just a request, and that's why I did reach out to you to see if I could help you with any of these facts one way or the other.
Well, and thank you, Lieutenant. I sure appreciate you taking the time to do that, because it is quite frustrating to try to present this information. And now, as you've seen, we've presented this to at least 10 jurisdictions, and the FBI have known about this since last year, October, when Jessica Ridgway first was abducted. And why this is so troublesome is because Gordon Carroll is an elder of a church with a convicted child abuser, and that looks bad on your department, that one of your officers would be associated with a convicted child abuser, a criminal. And then he's also associated with a domestic terrorist who's labeled as hypo-manic, homicidal. Now, Gordon Carroll might not have been at John Benny Ramsey's case. We actually tend to believe more it was Robert Adolph Enyart and Kenneth Tyler Scott, who are friends with Gordon Carroll. It's just a theory because of the Korean reference and the police attire, such as a stun gun, but we also realize that can be purchased at military stores. And these other possible suspects, Doug McBurney and Kenneth Tyler Scott, Doug has military experience and stuff like this, so they all know how to tie garrots and they know all this type of stuff. But we have more than enough evidence to place Bob Enyart at the scene of the crime and Kenneth Tyler Scott at the scene of the crime. Gordon Carroll is an associate of theirs, and that's why this looks so bad for your department.
Well, okay, and as far as the info you have on Mr. Enyart or Mr. Scott, I can't speak to. My concern obviously is with people with this agency, and that would be Gordon. So again, like I said, if that helps, and hopefully it does from a factual standpoint, then if you would just, like I said, respectfully request that you tie that to or make the appropriate assumptions, and if you wouldn't mind taking the association lease with Arapahoe County down, that would be great.
Well, I will consider your request, and if Gordon Carroll would like to come clean and explain himself, I will be more than happy to remove him as a dirty cop. But up until this point, you can't. These are all character issues as well. It doesn't necessarily mean one way or another, because you like to write snuff novels about women getting raped and about school massacres and about, eating somebody's flesh and all these things. That's all great and all for your imagination. But if you're representing yourself as a Christian pro-lifer who cares about the lives of innocent children, and then you're supposed to serve and protect, it's a little bit disturbing that particular fact that he's a snuff writer was kept a secret from us for 10 years. We didn't find that out until we left the church and became attacked. And now, again, circumstantial, but it's a character issue, and this man cannot be trusted because of his associates. He hangs out with criminals, people who've been convicted of crimes. Now, what's a cop doing hanging around with criminals?
Well, sometimes, obviously, sometimes people have family associations, whatever, where people have been convicted of crimes. I mean, if you couldn't hang out with anybody that had been convicted of a crime, that might prove to be very difficult. Now, if he was associated, obviously, with some kind of a gang or something else, that might be a little bit of a different story. But I haven't verified it, nor have I really even attempted to any criminal conviction on Bob Enyart's part. I just, like I said, after seeing your website, wanted to address some of those specific accusations you had attached to Gordon Carroll. But that said, we certainly will look into some of this stuff as well on our end and see if there's anything we can verify from this point as well, okay?
Yeah, I would recommend that, because if he willingly chooses to be an elder of a church where a convicted child abuser, now twice convicted, not just once, but twice. Once was on a cop's son in Jefferson County. Okay, so this guy has no respect for authority, he has no respect for the government or children. And now this is a good friend of Gordon's. I mean, he can't choose better friends. He can't choose somebody else to be an elder of a church. He's got to be hang out with convicted child abusers and domestic terrorists and people convicted of stalking and harassment and all that other stuff. I mean,
you keep referring to Ken Scott as a domestic terrorist, and
yes.
Is that your title?
No, that's not my title. That's not my title. That title came from Dr. Warren Hearn. He's an abortionist in Boulder, and Dr. Warren Hearn wrote a piece to the FBI in 1995 warning people of Kenneth Tyler Scott being a domestic terrorist and harassing him and targeting him and stalking him, and he warned that this is the greatest threat to America next to the Taliban, that these people are violent, they will resort to death. Bob Enyart organizes the bombings in abortion clinics. He's the one behind it. He organized, like I said, child abductions. He's a rapist, and I mean, these are all things that Bob Enyart refuses to talk about. He's on the radio Monday through Friday, and he won't even talk about it. He's ignoring it like a criminal would do. And we've sent him plenty of emails. We've sent him hundreds of emails to let him know our intentions. And he tried to call us out in a confrontation when he tried to take our kids from us. Now, there's something wrong with the Christian church that's trying to take children away from a family, don't you think?
Well, again, I don't know all the story. I hate to speak on something that I don't have all the details on, and I don't. So I'll keep that between you guys, because I'm not involved in that.
Well, in general, do you think it's wrong that a convicted child abuser would want to protect the children and take my children from me unjustly by lying and saying I'm a child abuser, saying I'm going to murder my children in the basement, saying I'm a drug addict? I mean, do you find that a little bit off-key?
Again, Danielle, I don't know all the facts in that, so I'm not going to speak on that or take a side on that, because I don't know all the details on that. So
okay.
I can't and I won't. But just know that obviously you have my number, and if you have any other questions or anything that deals specifically with deputies on our agency, I would be happy to research and speak on that, because those are facts that I can get to and speak to.
Okay, I appreciate that. I would recommend talking to Gordon and asking him exactly what his relationship is with Bob Enyart. And
I certainly will.
Yeah, and ask him about us. I'm sure he'll say we're mentally ill and that we're drug addicts and all this other stuff. But I would recommend watching him a little more closely, because there's a lot of crime that's being organized around town, and Arapahoe is no stellar community as far as crime goes. And it would be worth looking into, because if you do have a dirty cop, it does look bad that any cop is hanging out with convicted child abusers / serial killers, And so these are all things I would recommend you looking into. And if there's anything we can help out, on the website that you're on, you should be able to find a criminal timeline of Bob Enyart. And these are violent criminals who hurt children, and they organize crimes. They try to frame families like they did with the Ramseys, and like they're doing with Austin Reek-Sig, and like they're doing with Dylan Redwine's family right now, trying to frame the father. So we have history repeating itself, and this is not good for Colorado at all.
Okay, Danielle. Well, thanks for the communication, and again, you have my number if you have any further questions regarding that, okay?
I will, and thank you again. I really appreciate you calling me back and giving me some time to talk.
All right, Danielle, you bet. Take care,
okay? You too. Bye-bye.